it's Madeline, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Son of Neptune by Rick Riordan. So for those of you who do not know, The Son of Neptune is the second book in the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan, and the Heroes of Olympus series is a spin-off of the Percy Jackson series. The first book in the series is The Lost Hero, so I have a review for that down below if you want to check that out if you read the book, and I also have a review for the Percy Jackson series, the entire series on review. So I'll also link that down below. It's my first video, so the editing's a little weird, but please forgive that. Anyways. I can't really go into detail about what this book is about because of spoilers, but there are new characters in this book that I enjoyed. We find out about some things that make the world of Percy Jackson a little bit more interesting, and overall it was just a really good book. I gave it an 86%, just like the last one. So if you haven't read this book, I would suggest you leave now because I'm going to be discussing everything that went down from the beginning to the end of this book. So, goodbye if you have not read this book already. Okay, so The Son of Neptune. We finally have Percy back. First chapter is Percy's chapter. I was so excited about that. I just was missing Percy a lot in the first book along with some of the other characters that we had seen previously. I know that we didn't really get to see Annabeth or Leo or Jason or Piper, and I did miss those characters, but I was glad to see Percy, and I was happy with the new characters. So the beginning of the story starts off with Percy, and he basically has to carry Hera across a river into the Roman camp, Camp Jupiter. And I'm just, who likes Hera, honestly? Anyone that has read these books, I highly doubt they like Hera. I'm just like, she's messed up, like, she's just messed with so many lives. It's really annoying. Like, can't you just leave the heroes alone, man? Like, seriously. The Roman camp, honestly was very interesting. It changed the game completely. After kind of like meeting some of the people at the Roman camp and seeing the way they do things, I definitely like Camp Half-Blood better. I like the way they do things. Like, sure, the Roman camp is neat and orderly, and they have like this army set up kind of thing, and I know Camp Half-Blood doesn't have that, but like I like the way Camp Half-Blood does things better. It's not all about traditions and power and being the best at everything. I like how Camp Half-Blood isn't quite as strict. Anyways, we got to know some new characters in this book. We got to meet Hazel, who is a daughter of Pluto, and she was very interesting. We learned like she was like born in the 30s, I believe, and she had died, and when Nico went down to the underworld, he went to look for his sister Bianca. He came and brought her back up with him because Bianca had being reincarnated or something like that. But Nico showed up, and I was like, oh, you can tell Percy now. I knew that wasn't going to happen because of things having to be done to defeat the war, but I really wanted him to tell Percy that about like Camp Half-Blood and everything there. But of course he didn't. But I really liked the brother-sister relationship between Nico and Hazel. I thought that was a really nice addition that Rick Riordan added, and I was just really happy with it. And then we also have Frank, and Frank was interesting because he had like some Chinese blood, and he had some Greek blood, and he had some Roman blood, and it was a mix of everything. And Frank also had this power that was carried out through his family, so like his mom had it, his grandmother had it. And we were just kind of trying to figure it out through the book, and we figured out that he could like shapeshift, and I was like super cool. I'd love to have that ability. And then we found out he was the son of Mars as well, which was, I suspected it. Like at the beginning when I first met him, I would have never thought he was the son of Mars, and then when he started mentioning his mom and how she was in war, I was like, yeah, he's gonna be the son of Mars, isn't he? So Mars came to camp and he claimed him, and they sent Frank, Hazel, and Percy on a quest to go find Thanatos, the god of death, and free him from a giant's wrath. I don't know what the giant's name was. I don't remember it. I don't remember how to pronounce it either, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, Frank was also interesting. It was a very interesting character, and he also had this piece of wood or something. He had this like stick of wood and whatever, so like, which was his life. So if it burns, he dies. And that was very interesting because it was something about like Hera came to visit him when he was young and gave it to him, or gave it to his mother or whatever. just because he was such a strong person, his life had to be tied to like a piece of wood. So, you know, like, there's downsides to being powerful, I guess, but you know, you didn't think Frank would have so much power. Like, I'm just started the Blood of Olympus, and things happen, and he gets more powerful in the books. I'm not gonna say anything, but let's just say he gets a little bit more powerful in the House of Hades. And then some other new characters that we had. We didn't get to see their points of views, but they weren't in this story quite as much as Hazel and Frank, but those were Octavian and Reina. I liked Reina. Like, at first I was kind of iffy. I was like, I don't like this girl too much. But then we got to know her a bit better, and she offered Percy praetorship, and she kind of like let down a few walls with Percy. Then she made a move on him, and I was like, nope, this can't be happening. But I'm glad he turned. I'm glad he was like, yeah, I have a girlfriend. He actually remembered Annabeth, which I was so happy about. I was like, don't tell me he's gonna have to go through like what Jason went through. Like, his memory is still fuzzy, but I was like, oh, it got kind of depressing, because I was like, we just went through this with Jason, and he just overcame it. He was just starting to regain his memories, and then we're thrown back to Percy, and Percy has like barely any memories. He's a bit more memories than Jason, but I was like, oh, we don't have to go through this all again. But luckily the process was faster, and he remembered more things than Jason did, so I was glad that we didn't have to go through that like depressing process again and be like, no, Percy, you need to remember this. But yeah, Reina, like I said, anyways, she wasn't too bad. I starting to like her more and more. I've liked her character more as the books have progressed. I won't say anything more on that, but in the current book, I was just starting to like her. And then we had Octavian, who I absolutely hate. Oh my word. He's just, he's horrible. He's such like a politician. Like, even though Percy described him as this like scrawny, pale, blonde kid, and then there's this one line where he's like, oh, maybe this kid's more powerful than I thought, because like he was just like such a politician. It was like, oh, I hate characters like that. But hopefully he gets killed off in the series. I'm really hoping that he gets killed off, because I don't like him when he's just causing a lot of trouble. Anyways, let's talk about the quest. So Mars came to Camp Half-Blood to claim Frank and congratulate him on like winning the war game. Mars went ahead and sent Percy and Frank and Hazel on a quest, and like I said, to free the Doors of Death from the Giant's Wrath or whatever. So they ended up going on this quest, and a bunch of things happened on this quest as well, because they were trying to go and free the Doors of Death, so that when they killed the monsters, they would actually like stay in TARDIS. They just wouldn't like magically reincarnate as soon as you like killed them. So that was really important. And also there was like a huge army coming to the Roman Camp Jupiter, and that just like put a lot more pressure on the three of them to complete the quest in time. And I was really glad that they did. We got to see kind of like some internal like struggles with like Frank and Hazel. Like Hazel with her curse, she was just trying to learn how to control it, because she would pull up like her powers are pretty cool, but like she would just like pull up, she could control like precious metals and gems and stuff. So that was pretty cool, but they were cursed, so she just had a bad past as well, because like she died in Alaska, and we were finding out more about her past with like flashbacks and stuff. And you know, Frank just didn't think didn't have a ton of doesn't have a ton of self-esteem in this book, so we had some of that playing into it as well. So other than the internal struggles, we ran across a bunch of Gaia's different minions. Like through their journey, they ran into, I guess not directly ran into, but they saw some of the part of the army while they were traveling, and they also ran into this guy Phineas. I absolutely hated him. He was horrible with the harpies and whatever, and I was glad that Percy beat him with the Gorgon blood gamble kind of thing. And I was glad they freed Ella. Ella can come in handy, I think, just because she's an avid reader and she remembers everything she reads, and she got a hold of some of these prophecies, and rather than now she remembers them, and she's kind of like spitting things out. We heard something about the Mark of Athena, which is in the next book, which plays into that book. And then I was very glad that, like I said, that they saved Ella and stuff. And then Frank also had this like spear that Mars gave him while he was trying to figure out his family gift. So that was pretty cool as well. It was kind of creepy, as he would stab him to the ground, and then this guy, Gray, like this dead guy came out and started like killing everyone, but it's kind of reminded me of like Nico's powers, but to a lesser extent. And then they also had this encounter with Iris, who was like this hippie, she was like this old hippie lady, and she had this like raffle shop or whatever, and Percy came out of there with like a man bag and like a tie-dyed man bag, and like yeah, that was very interesting. She was an interesting goddess. So then we had the Amazons, and I really like this part because I find it very interesting that the actual company Amazon was played into this. So like the actual company Amazon today in like today's world was apparently, well, in this world, was founded by these female warriors, the Amazons, and they happen to be led by Reyna's sister, who Reyna had told Percy to go find for help or something like that. Don't remember exactly. Reyna's sister seemed pretty nice, like even though she kind of held a bit of a grudge against Percy because they had run into them on Circe's island and they had like destroyed their home kind of thing. Like I could understand holding a grudge like for destroying a home, obviously, like that'd be horrible. But I think Circe did need to be killed off or destroyed or whatever happened to her. But anyways, there was also this opposing queen. She had been brought back from the dead, and she was the first queen of the Amazons or something, and she was on Gaia's side because she had been brought back from the dead, so she was opposing Reyna's sister. And they were battling it out every night for control over the Amazons, basically. But I was glad that Hazel like was able to like get the three of them out of there. She was using like her powers to like control all the jewelry in the warehouse and like causing all distractions, and she just got them out of there, and that was really awesome. Like that was a really awesome scene. And while they were with the Amazons, Hazel got this horse, Arion, I believe that's how you pronounce it, like the fastest horse in the world. And like I like that because like it also played into her past. Like I like how everything's kind of linked from Percy Jackson series or something like that into this book. We didn't see him in the Percy Jackson series, but like we saw him in some of Hazel's flashbacks, and I like how everything's like woven in together, and that's really nice. It was done really well, that part. But anyways, she got to take the horse because like she was the only one that could tame the horse kind of thing, and I thought that was pretty cool. Like good for her. And now they have someone else on their side as well, and he ends up helping out later on in the battle with the giant, so that was great. And during this journey, like after Percy had drinking the Gorgon's blood, he was starting to like remember everything, and it was just all coming together, and that was really nice. Also, we had the encounter with Frank's grandmother. They stopped at his house and she was like dying, but there were also Cyclopses, I believe, Cyclops outside her house, or their family mansion. And the scene was pretty awesome. Like they were just like they were just like booked it to the airplane that was set up for them to leave, and then they just like flew away as quickly as possible with the Cyclops in their tail, and that was just a really awesome scene as well. And then after that, we were pretty close to the battle with the giants and then freeing Thanatos. I believe that's how you pronounce it, the god of death. So I really liked the last part as well. It was very action-packed, like it always is at the end of a Rick Riordan book. At this point, Frank had figured out his powers, and he was able to use it in the fight, and he was shape-shifting. And then before that, when he was freeing Thanatos, he had to use his life stick, the stick that was attached to his life, and he had to burn that to melt his Thanatos' chains. So I think that was very brave of him. That was great sacrifice. Even though it didn't kill him, like it just made it a whole lot shorter. Once Thanatos was freed, it was great because none of the monsters wouldn't just reincarnate like right there. They would go back to Tartarus. So glad about that. It was great. And the battle with the giant Alicon, I don't know how you pronounce that, when they had to drag him out of Alaska, out of his homeland, and into Canada to kill him. That was great. I love that scene. And then the three, Hazel, Frank, and Percy, started traveling back to Camp Jupiter. So when they get back to Camp Jupiter, they jump right into battle, and then later Reyna's sister Hyla shows up with the Amazons. We learn that she was able to defeat the lady opposing her. That was great. So we just had we had another battle at the end, which was great. I love that. After the battle, or kind of like during the battle, Percy was made Praetor, taking Jason's place, and it was kind of like he got like the SPQR tattoo and everything. It was kind of like and it was okay, like good for him for getting praetorship, but I would prefer if you stayed at Camp Half-Blood, not New Rome or Camp Jupiter. But I do understand how he kind of like would want to go to New Rome just because there are like adult demigods there and there's university, and then he can have like a future with Annabeth if they make it that far, hopefully. We also had a message from Leo. He sent this like scroll and they were saying that they were coming on the Argo 2, and then, you know, like the Argos 2's coming, and then Percy's like, oh yeah, I'm going to introduce you to my other family, and it just like kind of just stops there, and we don't get the reunion between Percy and Annabeth, or we don't get the reunion between all the other characters, and I was really sad about that, but that happens in the Mark of Athena, and I'll do a book review on that one soon. Overall, this book was pretty great. Like I said before, I gave it an 86%. Really good. I'm super excited to be finishing this series. I want to wrap it up because like I've said, I've been on the internet and like I want to try not, I don't want to have to avoid spoilers anymore. Like I've already been spoiled for some minor things. I won't say them because they're in the other books. And it hasn't ruined it so far. Like I've still really enjoyed the book, so that's good. But anyways, that was my review for The Son of Neptune. Let me know down below in the comments what you thought of this book, and I hope you liked this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!